it's an opportunity for people, and I mean people, colleagues and students with similar interests, in my case English language teaching, to come together, to share experiences and to learn from each other. The International Credit Mobility came originally from a Tempest, what was Tempest, project, which was about, in Brussels speak, modernising modern languages in partner countries, in this case Uzbekistan, Ukraine and Russia. And the project involved developing modules for a blended learning MA programme. We developed 7 modules as part of that project. The risk with projects like this, and with projects that involve quite big changes fundamentally, is that of sustainability. So what the International Credit Mobility allowed us to do was to ensure sustainability of the original Tempest project, to ensure that we were able to continue to support partners in developing, in implementing the MA, and that was also with authorities, because quite often they had struggles with their own authorities, and we were able to support that. At the same time, they were able to continue to come to the UK, to come to Aston, and we were able therefore to extend the reach of the project, and also we were able to extend it to students, which was something in the original project we hadn't been able to do. From Veronish, they're now asking if they can bring, although there's no funding, the students will all be self-funded, they want to bring a group of students for a week in January. Students who haven't been able to take part in the funding, but they've heard about it and they want to come here and they want the experience as well. So in fact they'll be joining the MA group it'll only be for 1 week, but all entirely self-funded. But that's, again, it's a consequence of this funding. So the relationships continue and we continue to extend the experience. Students come for 1 term and they join our MA TESOL programme, Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. So they join our regular students on the MA, they're part of the same group, they do exactly the same classes, the same assessments, so they're fully integrated into the group. They only come for 1 term, not for the whole year. For staff, for incoming staff, we offer training courses. We've involved them. We've tended with the International Credit Mobility to invite them to come over to coincide with when we have distinguished visitors from overseas. Aston has a distinguished visitor scheme, so we can get experts from around the world. So we tend to get them to coincide so they can take part in these visits too. Outgoing staff do a mix of teaching, so we actually do some teaching on the MA from the original Tempest, we teach the students, but also we support our colleagues with staff training, so we tend to do joint staff training to increase the pool of staff in the partner universities. Above all, I think they bring new perspectives. I mean, for example, the students, the MA TESOL tends to have quite a multicultural group anyway. Has quite a high proportion of international students anyway, but of course the credit mobility students, the ICM students, also bring students from different nationalities, and the nature of the course with English language teaching is that more that you can share different realities and different perspectives, the richer the experience for everybody. So that's what they bring. I mean, the way it's taught, we draw on all their different experiences from the different countries, so they bring a lot of that. They also extend, if you like, the range of exposure to different cultures for the other students. Well, it's mutual, obviously, the kind of mutual sharing of cultural experiences and teaching experiences is what students bring. And really for staff as well, I mean, they enrich. There are basically 3 of us involved in English language teaching here at Aston, and we're all 3 interested in our research areas are also around the area of teacher education. So being able to actually share firsthand with colleagues from different countries how teacher education is carried out in those countries really enriches our experience here as well. I think they've gained they've gained exposure to different ways of doing things. Another thing they do when they come here is they observe different classes, different levels, undergraduate, postgraduate, but also colleagues from different disciplines. So they've been to see literature classes as well. So they get a better understanding of the UK education system as a whole, the way that things are done here, the way we teach, which has similarities but also differences. And also, of course, they get the kind of cultural, the cultural exposure to the UK as well. It's helped them immensely with their employability. In fact, quite a number of them, I don't have the exact numbers to hand, but quite a few of them have actually been employed by their own universities. I've been back myself, for example, I went back to Veronish last September and met some of the students who'd been here. They've had feedback from their head of school. They're teaching in schools now, but they've had feedback about their excellent teaching ability. In Veronish, again, they've told me that head teachers in schools there have said that the students, the ones who've come for the international credit mobility, but also from the Tempest project, are particularly sought after. We've had incoming students from the different countries who come from less privileged backgrounds, and they're the ones who in particular have said to me, this would not have been possible without the international credit mobility. There is no way I could ever have afforded, or my family could ever have afforded to send me abroad at all. So it's given them actually an experience of coming abroad that they wouldn't otherwise have been able to have. And also then improve their job opportunities. I mean, I'm thinking of one in particular who actually now works for the university as well. It's given them opportunities, life opportunities if you like, that I don't think they would have had otherwise. As a whole, I think it's enabled us to extend the countries that we engage with and interact with. I mean, just one example, Uzbekistan isn't a country that Aston has particularly, well, I don't think anybody in the UK has perhaps engaged with particularly up until now, but I know that now the international office as a whole are also, apart from the fact that we now have funded students from Uzbekistan completely independently of the project, but obviously through the contacts, through the experiences, they now know that Aston is a trusted partner, if you like. So we do get government funded students as well now, so it's definitely extended that. I think it's enhanced Aston's reputation in all three countries. It takes quite a long time to build these relationships of trust as well, and it's enabled us to do that. I think had the Tempest project just ended in 2016, that I'm not convinced necessarily that even the MA would have carried on. Let alone having been able to enhance and train more people and have more contact, expand the groups that are actually involved now in all the different countries, including Aston. I don't think that would have happened without the international credit mobility, without the continuation. It also leads to friendships. I've been working with some of the people now since 2013 with the Tempest. That's when we started. So it also, we're colleagues, but with a lot of the people now I feel like we're also friends. And I think that's important too. For us, I think the international credit mobility has been absolutely fundamental. And we've also been able to extend the reach of the project. I mean, there were certain things within the original project, certain approaches to language teaching, like, for example, content and language integrated learning, which is where subjects are taught through the foreign language, that we weren't really able to address in the Tempest project. At the time it was one step too far, but actually we've been able to do that in the international credit mobility, and we have had incoming mobilities entirely focused on that. And now, for example, in Ukraine, in Nikolaev, they've actually set up a national CLIL centre for Ukraine. So we've been able to really expand both at a personal, if you like, a people level, but also at a kind of an academic level. From our experience, I would say that one of the most useful things that international credit mobility has been for us has certainly been building on what's already there. And I think if you can get the funding to build on something and to take it forward, that is a real advantage.